Good morning. Lieutenant Governor Reynolds and I are pleased to be joined this morning by Education Deputy Director Ryan Wise. This morning we're announcing that we'll be holding a second Iowa Teacher and Principal Leadership Symposium on Monday, August 4th. The purpose of this symposium is to continue the public conversation about the critical role that teachers play and principals in leadership to make sure that we improve student achievement and have truly a world-class education for all Iowa students. We'll hear how things are going with the first group of school districts that have received the grant to launch their new teacher leadership systems in the next school year. We'll look at what else we may need to do to support the work of the schools that are embarking on this very important journey. Lieutenant Governor Reynolds will share more about the symposium's details in just a moment. Iowa leads the nation with our plan to utilize teacher leadership to improve instruction and raise student achievement. We're ending the practice of teachers working in isolation by creating a more supportive workplace where professionals can thrive thanks to collaboration. And teachers are excited about this opportunity, and they see this as a big improvement in their professional development. Iowa's landmark 2013 education reform package makes it possible for every school district in the state to adopt a local teacher leadership plan over the next 3 years. It's important that we try to get this right from the start and learn from past mistakes as we go along. Hold ourselves accountable every step of the way. Our children are counting on us to give them the best possible education so that they're prepared for great career opportunities in Iowa and so that our state's economy continues to thrive and grow. 2 decades ago, Iowa was a top performer on national tests. I know we can reclaim our national preeminence through this educational excellence approach. You'll recall that we held our first teacher leadership and principal leadership symposium in August of 2012. We wanted to build support for mobilizing the untapped talents of Iowa's outstanding teachers, recognizing that it's no longer realistic to expect the principal to provide all of the instructional leadership in a single school building. And that was a very successful symposium, and then the result of that and the works of the task forces led to the landmark legislation that was passed in 2013. Higher expectations for students are demanded, and we're excited about this opportunity for that to happen. The 2013 legislature agreed, and I'm proud to say we're now on our way to implementing our statewide teacher leadership system. And now I'm pleased to turn it over to the Lieutenant Governor, Kim Reynolds, to tell you more.
Good morning, and thank you, Governor Branstad. And the second Iowa Teacher and Principal Leadership Symposium will be held on Monday, August 4th, and it will be held at the Des Moines Area Community College FFA Enrichment Center. It's open to the public, and we hope to attract 450 teachers, school administrators, school board members, legislators, parents, and others to the symposium. We're busy working out all the details, but it promises to be, again, an exciting conference. Much of the day will be focused on Iowa, and we'll hear lessons learned by the Central Decatur School District and Sedale. They rolled out their teacher leadership systems in the fall of 2013 in partnership with the National Institute for Excellence in Teaching. And we'll get an overview of the plans from the first 39 school districts across the state who launched the teacher leadership systems in 2014-15 under the Iowa's Education Reform Package. We'll also have the opportunity to hear from teachers, school administrators, school board members, and parents in some of those 39 school districts. Students are going to share their perspectives on why great teaching matters during a lunch hour panel. So it's always fun to have the students participating in these conferences and hear firsthand from them how great teachers impact their lives. And then Barnett Berry, who is the CEO of the Center for Teaching Quality, will talk about how better utilizing teacher leadership moves us in the right direction, and really true transformation also calls for organizing schools in a little bit different way. Better utilizing teacher leadership will strengthen instruction in every single classroom in the Iowa, which in turn will help students begin to learn more and move them in the right direction. It also will attract and retain a stronger teaching force by offering differentiated teaching leadership roles and more opportunities for teachers to advance in their career instead of out of the classroom. And at this time, I'm so happy to turn the podium over to Deputy Director Ryan Wise, who really has been instrumental in us getting landmark legislation reform passed. So Ryan?
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor Reynolds. We have a great opportunity unfolding in Iowa, and I'm confident we'll make the most of it. Iowa's new teacher leadership and compensation system is revolutionary by itself. For example, it improves entry into the teaching profession, fosters collaboration among teachers, and rewards excellence with pathways to career opportunities that come with greater leadership responsibilities and increased pay. But Iowa's teacher leadership and compensation system stands to be truly transformational by helping us implement other key reforms, including high state academic standards, so that all students graduate from high school genuinely ready for college and career training. Iowans are making a big investment, and we must make sure it pays off. That investment includes an additional $50 million each year over the next 3 years to fund Iowa's teacher leadership and compensation system. That was put in motion by the 2013 legislature as part of Iowa's landmark 2013 education reform package. The 2014 legislature also provided $2.7 million to support implementation of Iowa's teacher leadership system in 2014-15 for the first group, the 39 districts across the state in rural, urban, and suburban communities enrolling 1/3 of Iowa's students. The school districts have been rolling up their sleeves and getting ready. That includes hiring teacher leaders, such as master and mentor teachers, and instructional coaches. Iowa's AEAs have been invaluable partners. They've been working with the Iowa Department of Education and school districts to successfully roll out the first year of teacher leadership by developing a plan to provide ongoing training and support to teacher leaders and principals to ensure that they are successful in their new roles. The school administrators of Iowa and the Iowa State Education Association have also been great partners, including a June 12th institute they are sponsoring on launching teacher leadership for teacher leaders and administrators. It's already sold out, but there's a waiting list. We all need to make sure that training and support is aligned to specific outcomes that improve instruction and student learning. We have a lot of work to do, but we're making great progress. This is an extraordinary time to be an educator in Iowa. A lot is at stake for our students in our state. The second Iowa Teacher and Principal Leadership Symposium on August 4th will help us take stock of where we are and what we must accomplish to move forward. Now, I'll turn the podium back over to Governor Branstad.
Thank you very much, Ryan. And Lieutenant Governor Reynolds, we'd be glad to respond to your questions on this subject.
Governor, is this program all about implementing and educating about the performance of the past, or is there any more legislation developed here and further steps?
I think the primary focus is on best practices and learning from each other. The Lieutenant Governor and I have recently, in the last couple of weeks, visited the 2 school districts that have already begun this, Saydell and Central Decatur. We were very impressed with what we heard from the teachers and the principals that are implementing this. We think the other 39 districts that are going to be involved can learn from them as well. And we're also interested in finding out the ideas that are coming out of those other 39 districts. So it's about implementing what we've already approved. But if there are new ideas that come out of this, we're certainly open to other ways that we can perfect and improve the landmark teacher leadership legislation that was approved in 2013.
Is there anything, you're early on in the process, but is there any feedback you maybe like
For Ryan?
for Ryan? Is there anything early that you've seen that has to be changed or that you want that you see needs to be tweaked?
You want to?
You're right. I think we are early in the process. I think where districts are really focusing their energy right now is ensuring that these teacher leaders have the support and the training that they need to be successful in their new roles. So we think we've done a lot to build the foundation in terms of helping them plan. And now where we want to ensure moving forward their support is around now that we're asking teachers and principals to do new things, that they have the support they need. So that's really, I think, where the questions and energy is focused right now.
Support in terms of financial support?
No, I think the financial support is already there. It's support in terms of now that teachers are moving primarily from a role where they're working just with students for the bulk of their day to now where they're also working with adults. How do they make that transition to be just as effective as they were in working with kids, now in working with their colleagues?
Given you the word compensation, what does that mean?
Would you say?
You keep on using the word compensation.
Okay, there is, in the teacher leadership program that we passed, there's additional money for teachers that take on these new responsibilities. So they get a stipend in addition to their regular salary if they are a lead teacher or a master teacher or a coach that's helping other teachers. So there is a compensation there. There's also in the legislation for people in the top 25% of their class that go into difficult subjects like math and science and special ed, there's $20,000 stipend paid over a 5-year period there as well. So there is additional compensation that's built in, and the funding, as Ryan mentioned, increases about $50 million a year as we phase in 1/3 of the schools, basically 1/3 of the students in the state each year.
Are you taking the best teachers out of the classroom to teach teachers?
No, they're doing a combination of things. They're working together with other teachers, and what we found from the teacher, and the Lieutenant Governor and I actually spent some very enjoyable time visiting with the teachers and principals in both Saydell and Central Decatur. And we had teachers, experienced teachers, say they learned from some of their colleagues that were new teachers. They learned from each other. They felt they were good teachers, but now they felt they're just this year's experience, they feel a lot better about it. They get instant feedback. They feel that the professional development is much better and more relevant. We particularly had an art teacher that told that she felt the previous professional development was almost irrelevant to her responsibility, but this new system she thought was real helpful and was making a real difference.
Yeah, I like to. I mean, the governor kind of hit on that, but there was a teacher that had been teaching for 35 years and said she was learning from a teacher that was in the second or third year of teaching. But just to hear their excitement, the passion, they loved working together, the collaboration. There's the master, the mentor teacher, which helps coach, but is also in the classroom, and they thought that was a really important component of it, because if you leave the classroom, sometimes you forget what you're dealing with. So they really thought the structure was good. They want to have an opportunity to increase the profession as a whole. And the enthusiasm, the excitement, they talked about how hard it was, the time, but it really, they were very optimistic about what they were learning, and to have that some of the master teachers can teach for them in the classroom, just so have that real-time professional development was just really a big thing to them.
What's your benchmark for this first sort of cohort of schools, these 39 schools that are going in 5 years? Is there an X amount of percentage of student test scores that are going to go up, or reduction in retention?
Well, I think the bottom line is improving student achievement. And the neat thing about visiting with the leadership teams in both Saydell and in Central Decatur, they're measuring this on a regular basis. They're not relying on a once-a-year sort of a test. They're measuring this as they go, and so they're able to identify problems early and deal with them effectively and get ideas and suggestions from their cohorts. That is what is really exciting about it, and we want the excitement that those two school districts have shared with the others, that are embarking on this, and the other 39 that will be starting this coming year.
But when you measure it, I mean, is there, in a couple of years, you're going to look back and say this is something?
Well, we're going to measure it by student achievement. So we're going to measure, as I said, 20 years ago, we led the nation in these various, and obviously we'll have to measure it by student achievement where we have assessments that are used all across the country. But I would say part of our teacher leadership program is that is not the only assessment. There are a lot of other things that are done on a regular, week by week basis that's I think is going to make a real difference. And so they're going to be able to see much sooner than 2 or 3 years from now that they're making progress. They're seeing that in Adel and Central Decatur. Sadel and Central Decatur already. I don't know. You want to?
Yeah, I would just add to that, in the application process, all of the districts set local goals and benchmarks, just like the governor said, aligned to local measures. And so they'll have their own way to measure, monitor, and adjust as they go along, looking at things like how are they attracting great teachers into their district, how are they retaining them over a longer period of time, and providing more opportunities for both collaboration and career advancement. So there are multiple ways to look at this. And then at the department, we're really focused on right now figuring out what are going to be our statewide measures and how do we work in partnership with the local school districts to ensure that this investment is really making a difference over time.
Governor, if you're in a good place out at the Panorama, do you have any damage out there? Do you have any friends?
Well, my wife and son Marcus are on their way out there, so we don't know. We've just seen on the news that there was considerable damage various places around the lake, so they're going out to look for themselves. But thank God we didn't have any loss of life or serious injuries. Property damage can be repaired, but obviously that area, Guthrie County and the Lake Panorama area was hard hit, and they suspect it was a tornado. I guess the state of Nebraska was probably hit worse. There's also some damage in Sioux County.
Governor, you told the crowd in Webster what likely to sign the medical cannabis oil bill. Could you walk us through your reasons?
Well, first of all, we have done some very significant research and review of this legislation, and I have talked to governors from both Alabama, who's a doctor as well, and the governor of Utah, and they have signed similar legislation. And my staff worked very closely with the legislature during this process. There was a woman at the town hall meeting in Webster City, had a picture of her, I think, 6-year-old daughter that suffers from these severe seizures due to epilepsy. She's obviously very emotional about it. And I also, there was another woman that pointed out the fact that this has not been FDA approved. And so, that's the normal process we go through. I do understand if you have somebody that's suffering from some severe illness, whether it's epilepsy or somebody that has a severe type of cancer, people that are desperate in those situations will want to try anything. Now, this is something they believe can and is making a difference with some of these children. And yet I think the legislature was very careful in trying to make sure that this was only in an oil form, that it can't be taken by somebody else that doesn't have authorization for it. And it actually sunsets after 3 years. I believe the University of Iowa will also be reviewing it, which is similar to what the state of Alabama is doing. They're having their University of Alabama, Birmingham, review this. So I think it's important that we respond to legitimate concerns from the public, but we also have to protect against unforeseen circumstances, unforeseen consequences. And I think that the legislature in this case has tried to do that. And so, we will carefully continue to analyze and review it. But my inclination at this point is to say that I'm inclined to think it's likely that I will sign it.
Governor, would it be safer just to make the oil here in
No, actually, it would be worse, is I think what they decided is, then you have the question about buying and selling in Iowa and all of that kind of thing. In this case, it just decriminalizes the people that have authorization from a specialist who's a a neurologist. So you have to have an Iowa neurologist authorizes it. So, and then it cannot be sold or traded in the state of Iowa, so you don't have that danger of it getting in the hands of somebody that's not supposed to have it.
Governor, a couple of legislators said that they sometimes carry weapons, or they had carried weapons on legislative chambers because they felt the Capitol was unsafe. Capitol unsafe, do you think other people should be left?
First of all, I believe the Capitol is very safe. And I think that the Department of Public Safety does a great job of securing the Capitol. And I think there's been a clarification. And again, I understand and accept the fact that the legislature has its own rules, and I understand the separation of powers. But I can tell you the Lieutenant Governor and I feel very safe, and we feel that public safety does a good job of protecting our Capitol.
You want them carrying guns?
Well, far be it for me to tell the legislature what to do. They're a separate branch of government, and I respect that. And I went through that issue with them on tobacco many years ago, and they made it clear that they have the authority to have tobacco sold in the Senate chambers or in the Senate lounge if they want to. So I do respect that. I'm the chief executive, and I feel safe, and I feel that we have a good public safety people that protect that. And I also want our Capitol to be open and accessible to people. And we have public tours that go through here all the time. And I try to meet with a lot of people. A lot of times you'll see me having lunch right down here in the cafeteria. And people come up, and school kids want to get their picture taken or whatever. I just want to have an open, accessible government, and I want to do everything I can. And I feel very safe in our Capitol.
Do you feel safe because of the
Well, the governor does have a trooper assigned to him. And that's been the case ever since Governor Beardsley died in an automobile accident.
But do you think you're viewing this skewed because you have that trooper?
Well, it could be, and I do, and that's why I try to be very careful not to pass judgment on the legislative branch of government. They are a separate branch of government, and we have under our system co-equal branches of government, and so I try to be very careful about respecting their autonomy as well. But as I said, I'm one that believes in openness, accessibility, and transparency, and I feel our Capitol is very safe.
Do you have rules for your staff on weapons?
Yeah, I don't have anybody on the staff that's carries a weapon to work.
Who controls the policy on access to buildings, particularly the
Department of Public Safety.
right now the policy is that they allow lawmakers and they allow state employees to use a swipe card to access and not go through the metal detector. That enables someone to bring a weapon into the Capitol. Should that policy be revisited?
Well, again, I want to be very careful about not treading on the legislature's authority to set their own rules. I do feel that our public safety people do a good job, and I've always felt very safe in our Capitol building.
But as far as setting their own rules, you mean that they set their own rules on how they access the building versus everybody else?
Well, and when it comes to access of the building, I'm not sure, but I do recognize the fact that the legislature has its own prerogatives. They set their own rules. The House has different rules than the Senate has even. So we need to acknowledge that as well.
How about executive branch employees, they swipe and come in without going through metal detectors? Is that a good policy?
Well, I guess I leave it to the Department of Public Safety. I think, they do a good job of seeing that we do this. And, you need to balance public safety with convenience for the public. I want to make it as convenient as possible. I will tell you that when I got elected governor, they had metal detectors at Terrace Hill, and we got rid of them. So I feel safe and secure, and obviously they do also have security people at Terrace Hill. So I didn't feel that was necessary to make people that want to visit Terrace Hill go through a metal detector. I think that's a decision that was made before I came, and I guess I would leave that to public safety. But I want to balance public safety with convenience for the public. I want to make sure that we have a very open, accessible Capitol and people feel welcome here.
Brad Vaughn told the Register that he feels unsafe sometimes.
No. Okay, thank you.